So today I want to take a look at I Pet Goat 2 in light of some new information. And this is one of those things that's people come back to this video over and over again because it's prophetic in a very evil way. And I want people to be careful about this, first of all. And I've warned people about this before in the past. You can get information from, quote-unquote, the dark side. There is power to that. There are things in that. And for those of you who know the scriptures, you know that Satan seeks to be like the Most High. He wants to be like God. And God gives people prophecy. There's a whole book about prophecy. There's many books in the Bible. Of the 66 books that are in the Bible, a lot of them are prophetic. And it's kind of a circle. A lot of it is past events, but also there's a mirror that comes back around again to future events. And it's interesting how that works. I guess it's almost like you're doomed to repeat your past if you don't know it. But anyways, this one's pretty heavy. If you've never seen it before, I recommend you check it out. And we're going to be taking a look at it now, and I'm going to be talking over it. So yeah, go and watch the video in its entirety. But I'm just going to kind of loosely translate what I think is happening here. Now, you have a goat that comes out of this box with the 666 on his head. He's got the mark of the beast on him. And what I think I Pet Goat 2 means is, this is their way of saying, you're the devil's pet goat too. And you're going to be in a camp like this one day. And the Bible talks about goats and how the Lord puts them on his left-hand side and they go into hell. And the sheep are on the right. They go into everlasting righteousness. They go to heaven. And now we've got Bush doing his thing during 9/11, right? And he's being controlled by Lucifer. You saw the hands. You got these weird pins on the map. And I think those actually show things that have happened in the world. Let's just back up real quick. Because you've got what happened here in New York City. And then over here, I believe you've got the bombing that happened in Oklahoma. Down here, I have no idea what this is about. This could be something in the future. Who knows? But and people, like I said, people have got a lot of theories about this stuff. But if you watch, it's interesting, and it goes pretty deep, man. So, like I said, he's reading My Pet Goat during this point. If you don't know, this actually happened. This is something that Bush was doing during 9/11. He was reading My Pet Goat to the kids. And there's conspiracies about that. If you watch the video around, it's really weird. And then poof. It shows that these guys are interchangeable. They're the same. Right? That's what I get from that. The teleprompter says lol on it. And you've got this really disturbing imagery with a white rabbit and a child and other weird like wax-like figures. And if you know anything about the rabbit, you know it denotes predatory behavior, which is very unsettling. This is not pleasant subject matter. But what's interesting to me here is you've got this lotus that pops up, and Obama's really nervous about that lotus. And you'll see he's got a cap on his head, like he's just graduating. And you've got Psalm 23 there. I'm not sure what they're trying to say with Psalm 23. It's just the Lord is my shepherd, I believe. Let me see. Yes, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Now, what's interesting about what's going on here with this lotus... Oops, I need to back it up far enough. Right. What does Kamala mean? A lot of people are aware of Kamala Harris, I should hope. But Kamala, what does Kamala mean? Kamala is from the Hinduism, meaning lotus or pale red. And do you see? Does anybody? I hope people can see the connection I'm trying to make here. Obviously, you can. Right? That's a little strange. So you've got one president who flips over to the next president. Then they skip over Trump. And all of a sudden, you've got Obama nervous about Kamala. Is that what they're trying to say? Some people think so. Actually, a lot of people think so. I'm not sure what kind of a coin that is that's under his foot. But whenever you're dealing with animation or movies really in general, they place things in the scenery on purpose. Everything is very intentionally and painstakingly put there. It's no mistake that this is a Masonic checkerboard floor, for example. This is very occultic stuff, guys. And this is why you have conspiracy theorists in the world. And why the world is increasingly not calling them theorists anymore, but realists. So you're going to notice the American flag is tattered. Not looking too good for the old US of A. And what do we got over here in the background? Of course, we've got the trade towers. Now, most of what I had to say about this has to do with Kamala and the fact that she might be a president. She might be the next president, okay? Now, this is interesting because it shows Osama bin Laden as a CIA agent. I'm pretty sure that's a CIA badge. And people, I get so angry at normies when they believe the story that this guy was shot in the head and just dumped into the ocean. And nobody bothered to take any pictures. There's nothing for anybody to see here. It's done. I mean, that's the difference between somebody who's thinking critically about things and somebody who just swallows everything that the government tells them to. Just like if you believe the narrative of 9/11, that some people, just radical Muslims, just hijacked and they just flew it into the building and because reasons, and you don't understand why we fought in Afghanistan for 18 years, you need to pull your head out of your ass, dude. And I'm sick of hearing people talk about how you guys are crazy, this is a conspiracy. Your world, things that are happening in your world, they happen for a reason. And there are very powerful people playing a very deadly game. Do you see this star right here? I can't talk too much about that here on good old YouTube. But if you follow me over on Odyssey, you'll know what that's all about. And I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know what that represents. But as you see the Statue of Liberty with this underneath it, what happens to the torch of freedom? It's gone. It's taken away. I want people to read Jeremiah 24:9. Let's read Jeremiah 24:9 together, shall we? This is God speaking to the Jews at the time of, well, not too far before their diaspora, before he drove them out of the land. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse, in all places whither I shall drive them. This is pretty heavy. If you don't believe in the scriptures and you're cued in and what's going on with these folks here, if you know what's going on with these people here, and you can't connect that, I'm going to try to help you do that now, and I've done this before because I see so many people who tell me Christianity is just a psyop from those people. It was just put there to undermine us. Jeremiah 24 is going to sit you right on your ass. It's gonna back you right down. If you stop to read about this, it's talking about the good ones and the bad ones and what's going on with them. There are good figs, but there are naughty ones. It's funny, they call them naughty figs. And they're so naughty that they can't be eaten. That's how bad they are. Now, you'll have these parables and different ways of relating to things in the Bible, which usually, if you're coming from that time period, make more sense to people in that time period. But yeah. And I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them, till they be consumed from off the land that I gave unto them and to their fathers. This is something that happened a long time ago. The Romans came in and drove the Jews out of their land. And there is salt in this world to this very day over that. And if you don't know that that's a thing, well, I'm here to tell you that it's a thing. You've got salt against the Germans from the Romans. Now, people, they think the Roman Empire collapsed and it's just over and it's done. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's just Roman Catholicism. It's the papacy who have, throughout history, done terrible things that, unfortunately, all of Christendom is branded with. And it's not fair. And it never has been fair. If you study, I recommend Fox's book of Christian Martyrs to read about how Catholics would torture and kill Christians for the crime of wanting to translate this book, this great wonderful book from God, out of a dead Latin language into a living language that they could understand. They got killed for it, people. They got set on fire. They called it the Dark Ages because of that.
Whenever anyone protested against the church or didn't fall in line with the dictates of the hierarchy, they were relentlessly hounded to death, and it wasn't until 1517 that things finally began to change. Led by Martin Luther and other prominent men like Ulrich Zwingli, a revolt called the Reformation took place. These were men who were sickened by the excesses and corruption of the Catholic Church and who bravely attempted to stand against its might, risking their lives to expose the corruption and deceit and to bring people back to true biblical Christianity. This movement saw millions of people turn away from Roman Catholicism and renouncing the Pope as the spiritual leader of the Church. The invention of the printing press around this time was key, as it meant that cost-effective, rapid mass production of pamphlets and books could be placed in the hands of individuals in their own language. The printing press opened the flow of information that the Catholic Church had tried to keep shut. People could now see for themselves just how much they had been duped by the system. They could now learn independently about God for the first time in 1,000 years. Of course, the Catholic Church did everything in their power to stop these pamphlets getting into the hands of the ordinary man. They tried even harder to stop the Bible itself from being translated into English, or any other language for that matter. Satan knows how powerful the Word of God is. The Reformers eventually achieved the translations, but it came at the price of great persecution and even death for those involved. It's worth looking at how it developed to see just how much Satan opposed it, and to drive home an important principle. As we noted, by 600 AD, the Word of God had been restricted by the Catholic Church to just one language, the Latin Vulgate. The all-powerful Roman Catholic Church refused to allow the Scriptures to be available in any other language, and if anyone was found to be in possession of one, they would be executed. The reason, as we've noted, is very simple. At that time, only priests were educated in Latin. The common citizen was not. If the people couldn't read the Bible for themselves, they were dependent upon the church to tell them what it said. If the church controlled the flow of information that reached the average person, they controlled the average person. The church would have the power to rule without question, the power to deceive, and the power to extort money. Nobody could question their biblical teachings because nobody knew for themselves what the Bible actually said. The church capitalized on this forced ignorance between 400 and 1400 AD in the era we now call the Dark Ages.
And it's important that people understand that Jesus was rebuking the religious authorities of the time. He did not like religion in the traditional sense. He wants faith in him and his Father. He does not want institutions of men that control you and get filthy rich from your donations. He did not set that up.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because ye build the tombs of the prophets, and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, If we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up, then, the measure of your fathers. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias son of Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee! How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.
So this is, a lot of Christians are starting to understand that the institutions that are around us were A, subverted a long time ago by these people and no longer serve whatever goal they used to serve. Instead, they are serving the devil, and they're giving people watered down fast food Jesus, basically. They're giving you the Americanized version, the more westernized version of Christianity compared to how it was back in the old days, the European days. Things have changed. And we are not, as a nation, we are not doing well because of it. Now, I'm not going to continue to play the rest of this, but I mean, it talks about a bunch of different stuff about how people got their brains scrambled by the television and all these different pills and medicines and the shot. They've got all this garbage there. You can see right there, it's got like the pyramid upside down. It looks like Lincoln with his right eye darkened, which was another thing that comes from Scripture. Speaking on the Antichrist, whose right eye shall be darkened. There's, like I said, there's a lot of biblical stuff in this. But this is heavy. And it's important that people understand what's going on with these people. And the fact that human history, whether you like it or not, is attached to the hip to these people. Whether they were doing good or doing bad in the world. And there's a lot of people who don't like them, period, flat out. They don't like Christianity. Like I said, they see it as just something that's there, put there by them to damage us. But that's only the modern rendition of it. And I can see how people think that way nowadays. Because if you take a look at the different institutions, they are helping to import the third world into our countries. I don't know if you're aware of that, but a lot of this Haitian nonsense, Catholics are propping that up and funding it. And I've spoken in length about the Roman Catholics and how they're going to fold into the New World religion. And how they're going to be a big part of the globalist one world order. There's going to be a false light that people are going to be begging for after a lot of war, after a lot of turmoil in the world. And we're starting to see that turmoil and that war brewing now. You'd have to be blind not to see what's going on all around you. Abroad and in your country, the prices of things, the social and civil unrest. I've been talking about this stuff for years, and I tend to get angry when I think about how much I've told people about this stuff and how many people have called me crazy and said all these things. And over time, the stuff that I said was going to happen with Israel and Russia and China and all the things going on in our country, they are happening now, right now. It's not like this is a future thing that's coming. You can see that this is happening now. And I was talking about it many years ago. And not one of those people have ever come through my comment section and said, man, I thought you were just crazy. But man, I can't believe the things you were talking about are actually happening. I can't believe it looks like the world is on the cusp of World War III. Russia's constantly pissed off at the United States. If you guys send missiles to these people one more time, we're going to start a war with you. And now all the aggression coming from China, China taking over all these different companies with their wokeness garbage and shutting them down. I've been over this before. There are things happening in the world that if you want to pull your head out of whatever entertainment you have scrambling your brains for a few minutes, you're going to notice that we have trouble on the way. All right. And a lot of this trouble, it was very, very, very thoroughly covered in the scriptures. How it's going to happen, how nation rises against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And I've mentioned this before, but it's interesting how that in the original Greek and Hebrew, nation means race. Does nation and kingdom, does it make sense to say that nation and kingdom rise? Nation's going to rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That seems moot. It seems redundant to say that's the same thing, right? No, it's not. It's telling you that race is going to rise against race and kingdom against kingdom. Take a look at all of the constant, non-stop Marxist subversion trying to get us to turn on each other. Black versus white, gay versus straight. Everything is divisive. Men versus women, MGTOW, feminism. You've got all this garbage that is bad for us, even down to the fat acceptance movement. It's all subversive garbage to weaken us from the inside out. And our leaders are letting it happen. That's the thing that's scary about it, is that it's not like there's an enemy abroad that's subversively doing this to us, and they've got a few agent provocateurs here and there, like Ada Wong from Resident Evil or something. Your political leaders, the people that you have been voting for, are pushing towards this one world global order, where the lower and middle classes are reduced to this. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that. That ain't me. And I'm not trying to scare you. I mean, in a way I am. I'm trying to get you to wake up, to come to Jesus, to get saved before we get to this point, because I don't want you to be this goat in a box. I don't want your brain scrambled. I don't want to see you end up like, and it's interesting because you see the communism, you see the hammer and sickle here? They show you that something happens to the communists. Things don't exactly work out for the communists either. It's almost like they're just useful idiots. They get used, and they got this like false messiah type Jesus garbage. It's I don't want to see you end up like this guy. All right. And then when COVID happened, everybody was pointing to this. You got somebody their brain has been just shattered by this serpent, like a talking TV serpent, and he's all doped up. Does that remind you of pharmaceutical companies and the drugging up of Americans and the dumbing down of Americans? Stock market plunges. You see that in his eyes? Stock market plunge. War. Right. So all these things, they know they're coming. The people who made this, I hate to tell you, they're profoundly evil. This is not coming from a good place. And you see all this stuff going on with it looks like Islam. And yeah, it's pretty deep. The people think that this means a nuke's going to be detonated somewhere. Who knows? Like I said, this stuff it's intense. But this I do not believe is a coincidence. This whole Lotus thing with Obama and Kamala meaning lotus, that is creepy. And I think that they're telling you something here. But yeah, I think that power is given over to China and Russia and the BRICS nations. I've talked about this before. And in the Bible, it says that power is given to the beast. God lets this stuff happen, which for a long time I didn't understand and I was somewhat angry about. But if the more you talk to your fellow Americans or wherever you happen to live, if you're a Christian, you see that people they hate God. And they've gotten the gospel. Everybody's heard it by now pretty much, and they've roundly rejected it. And you see all of this degenerate garbage going on in the world. And I understand it. I understand why he does it. He's just letting us get what we want. From the very beginning, he never wanted Israel to have a king, but they demanded that they have a king. And every king, they had some kings that were good, but they always had faults. And then they had kings that were really bad. He wants you to rely on him. And if you read through Jeremiah 24, read all of the passages, he talks about how he's going to do that to Israel. He's going to take away Israel's allies. The United States is not going to be there to help them. Whether we turn on them or what happens, I don't know. But all of their lovers, it says, are no longer to be found. He wants them leaning on him. He wants them to return to him. And they've been astray for over 2,000 years. He went back to dealing with everybody else. When they stoned Stephen, after they crucified Jesus and they stoned Stephen, he took the gospel to other people. He basically removed his blessing from them and started spreading it everywhere else. And they got supremely jealous about it, which is why you see the star underneath our statue here. And don't get it twisted. They connect the trade towers with this, okay? Because they understand that's what happened. It is so blatantly obvious what is going on with the bad figs of the Bible. and that everything that God said they would be doing, they would be doing. And they've gotten really, really close to doing this without him. They've been clever. They've been very evil about what they're doing, but make no mistake that they've been very clever and they've gotten very far. They haven't done it alone. If you look back into the old text, they were following after Beelzebub. They were following after Baal. Those are names for Satan. And he's leading them along, and he's helping them get what they want. The bad ones. I'm not saying all of them. The bad ones are being led, and they're going to get really close to controlling this world, and then the script is going to get flipped on them, and they're going to be in trouble. It's called the time of Jacob's trouble. This is the time where God goes back to dealing with them exclusively. He's done reaching the Gentile world. He's spent 2,000 years doing it. So now everything is going to start to come apart. You're seeing that happen right now. And he's going to go back to dealing with them exclusively. I think it's like 7 years. Yeah. There's 7 years that are determined upon them to make an end of the transgression, which began when they crucified him. And he told them, he said, you're not going to see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, which is Jesus Christ. So until these people embrace Jesus Christ, they're godless. I know a lot of their intentions might be pure, and they think they're doing the right thing, but the ones that are in positions of power have done very, very evil things over the years. And the more you look into that, you look back at World War I and World War II, you see a lot of manipulation. You look back at everything with Afghanistan and the United States, and with Russia and Afghanistan, you're going to find their stamp all over all of it. All of it. They were basically provoking the entire time. And it blows your mind when you learn about it. But there's people that are learning about it without Jesus, and they're coming to very poor conclusions. And they're trying to rope Christians in with them, and I think that's going to be part of the Christian persecution. I hate to break this to you. If you're a Christian on the right, the people that I believe are going to be persecuting you the most bitterly are going to be on the right. That was a shock to me. I came to that conclusion a couple of years ago. God pointed it out to me. He's like, yeah, I know, I got a lot of the morals on the right, but they're going to do things their way. So that's something I want people to think about. Don't play the left versus right paradigm. Don't get caught up in that. Don't be a nationalist more than you are a Christian. I mean, it's good for you to want to maintain your borders, right, and have your sovereignty, but I'm telling you, they're not going to let you do that. That's coming to an end. They've already destroyed that. In case you haven't noticed, they've pumped so many people into this country that it is no longer America. It's a disaster zone. It's a powder keg waiting to go off. So yeah, at this point, I want to kick it over to you guys and hear what you have to say about it down in the comments section. If you're one of those people that just wants to blast me, do some more research into this stuff. Look into When Nations Fall, Echoes of Weimar Republic. It's a video I did a while ago. Look into Europa, The Last Battle. It's long. It's like 12 hours long. Okay. But if you can get through that, if you can set aside a few days to get through that documentary and you listen, you're going to come out wiser. Now, I would caution you to use, your own judgment. And don't take everything that's said to you in that documentary at face value. Go and research things. But you're going to find that a lot of the stuff that's told in that documentary is 100% spot on. And it's not a very comfortable thing to live with. But you're going to be all the wiser for it. So yeah, like I said, get down in the comments. Thumbs this up if you like it. God bless. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.